You're listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more. Wepa, mi gente, what's good? Welcome to the Comic Crusaders Podcast and another epic episode. I'm your host, Al Mega, and today we're here to bring you the best in comics, pop culture, and all things geeky as we normally do, right? And today we're putting the pedal to the metal, baby, with an amazing writer, editor, and industry vet, all right, who knows how to take a classic and make it dynamite, all right? So this person has worked on some legendary properties. But today, we're talking about one of the wildest, wackiest comic projects in recent memory. This is Dynamite Entertainment's Giant-Size Wacky Races. That's right. We're revving up the nostalgia, throwing down some banana peels, and getting the inside scoop on bringing this legendary animated chaos to the comic book page by the one, the only, the legendary Big Boss, Ivan Cohen, baby. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Al. Thank you. That was a welcome. I like that.
Your boss.
I need like walk-on music though. Next time I'm bringing out some final countdown or something.
Next time I'm starting to work on music. Again, I'm a single guy. I'm trying to get as creative. I always love music, and I got beat machines and all. So it's like I'm working on stuff. So next time you come on with your next monstrous project, I promise I'm gonna have some walking music. You better be looking like Macho Man Randy Savage.
I'm on it, and I like practical effects. I'm an old school guy, so I'll get some like dry ice steam going. So I'll come to
Let's go.
Walking right in. It's gonna be cool.
Love it.
But thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
But you rock, man. Thank you for coming on. Listen, I don't know if you've seen the show before. We always love our origin story, right? Because again, every great racer creator has their origin story. So let's talk about originally where you're from, and the first thing in fandom that you ever fell in love with that fueled your journey into becoming a creator today.
Awesome question. Born and raised in Staten Island, New York.
New York, let's go.
Yeah. Staten Island, kind of the, everyone's least favorite, and I understand why. Got out as...
No. Well, listen, I think it became everybody's favorite at least around 93, 92 when Wu-Tang and all them cats, all right? Shaolin, baby.
Shaolin, bottom of the food chain. You know it. But we first Wu-Tang store on Staten Island was on the location of a very weird little comic shop I used to go to a long time back. So I was
right. They took over the shop, made it the first Wu-Wear store?
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
I grew up in Staten Island. First fandom was either watching Super Friends cartoons on Saturday mornings or reading comics that my mom bought and gave me for a rainy day. And I'm sure years later, she probably wished she had gotten me something like a law textbook or, medical book or something. But
why was she getting you comics? Was it to make you behave? Was you begging for them or just out of random? Was she a fan?
Maybe she knew I was watching Super Friends cartoons and was into those characters. They were all DC books. I still have them. The covers are falling off, but I could get rid of all of my collection and I'd still keep those couple of issues because
that book right there, Christ Star Crystal Warrior #2, is my first comic book ever that mommy bought me at JFK when there was Eastern Airlines when I went to Puerto Rico at 8 years old. I still have it. I would never give up that book. You better kill me for that motherfucker.
Awesome. I was probably 8 years old too. I got I always go back to this. I was given an issue of The Flash. It was part one of a 3-part story. It had the Earth 2 Flash in it. It was back in the day where they'd explain parallel Earths with like a little footnote at the bottom of a caption.
And you're like,
Maybe it would be a panel that had like 2 Earths on it. It would just be like, Earth 2 is a place where superheroes started earlier. And that was all the explaining you needed. I was 8. I was like, sure, of course that's what happened.
No problem.
I got it. And now, I would fight with people, not with words, when there'd be conversations about, oh, it's too hard to understand the comics. And I'm like, is it?
It's not.
Or maybe we're just not, maybe we're making it complicated. But yeah, and from there, I was buying comics at the newsstand. I was getting the guy who ran the newsstand to, like, I'll put air quotes around this, let me unbundle the comics when they came in, the dates on them and put them up so that I could get them first. They call that child labor now, Al. But back then, that was a nice man doing the kid a favor.
Hey, bro, you were getting first dibs though, so it's a sacrifice as a collector too.
Sure, absolutely. But yeah, and that's where it happened. And I was, I was obsessed. I was a DC kid and I was a Marvel kid. I didn't play favorites. And then when the direct market happened, I was spending way more money than I really had to, get the collection going. I bought my TriStar copies. I had them.
Say sometimes we were selling stuff that we got dupes. Let's sell these so we can get some of the newer stuff.
I was never an investor guy. I mean, maybe when I
wasn't an investor, but sometimes but because of the 90s stuff, buy one or two. So I always I'll get two. I'm not greedy. I'll get two and then whatever stuff. I wouldn't sell it for anything crazy, but enough that maybe I could get a couple other things. Like I bet, you know what I mean? Not bad. People wanted this stuff, man. Right. So in this journey, in this comic book industry, were you always a storyteller, or did you kind of take a few unexpected detours along the way?
I grew up, my dad was a freelance writer himself. My dad wrote children's sports, like nonfiction books for kids. Oh, cool. Dozens of them. So my mom, once I was old enough that I didn't have to, that I could be at home by myself, she ran like a children's clothing, like resale shop in sort of a poorer neighborhood, and so I had this example of my dad writing all the time. And the lesson I took away from that was, I don't want to be a freelance writer. I want a job. Jobs are good. Working at home seems dumb. Yeah. And I did that for a while. I always wrote. Writing was definitely a thing. Most of my family picked up the bug. There were books everywhere. You just sort of drank it all in. But I was doing nonfiction stuff. I wrote for magazines. I wrote TV listings for TV Guide back when TV Guide was a thing.
Oh, really? You did TV Guide stuff? Oh my God! There was a lady on the hood that would collect TV Guides, and one day when I was hanging out, because I used to hang out with her son, she goes, "Hey, I understand you're a collector. Let me show you something." I'm like, "Okay, what you got?" Oh my God, she had boxes and boxes of TV Guides going back like from the early days to at that time was early 90s. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, there's some serious obsessions out there. That was one. I worked there. I didn't keep the old issues.
Not even anything you wrote. Not anything. You really didn't keep none of the stuff that you kind of contributed to. It's just
I've got Xeroxes of them all. I think I scanned.
You said Xeroxes for the kids out there. Can you explain what the Xerox?
You would take a piece of paper and instead of scanning it, it would print the scan so that you would have it on paper that wouldn't turn yellow as fast as like old-timey newsprint and stuff like that.
There we go.
I have them, but there's very little of my personality in them, so I don't feel gotcha. You get older, you realize you got too many boxes of paper, and you just start trying to keep the stuff that's meaningful. I have my first pay stub from that job, so I can remember how little I used to get paid to do things. But
other than that, don't do that again. Yeah. All right. So,
but that was the journey. Then I worked. I worked for different magazines as a freelancer. I got a job at DC Comics. Working on staff in marketing, and then I was in marketing. I was in editorial. I worked on movies and TV shows. Bounced around a little bit, and then when the company moved to Los Angeles, I was invited to go along, and I chose to stay instead, and I became a freelancer back then, and that's been, and then been a freelance writer mostly of comics ever since.
All right, so let's talk about that checkered flag moment, if you will. Yeah, all these puns, because we're gonna get something cool this way.
I understand.
Well, when was the first time you felt like, yep, I've made it in comics? And was it seeing maybe your name in print, meeting a childhood hero, or realizing that people were actually debating your stories online?
Wow, that's awesome. I still don't completely feel like I've made it. There's still, which is probably good.
What?
It keeps me.
You
It
touch
keeps me
some
honest.
great characters. You crazy?
Oh, I believe me. Look, I used to say, I was talking to somebody at New York Comic Con once, and I was saying, like, I was like starting to complain about something, and I was like, look, I realize that complaining that I only get to write Batman once in a while in that environment, there will be people who would like remove my skin and wear it so that they could pretend to be me. Like, I get that I'm lucky. I get that I am extremely lucky.
Like, you must have had a rough weekend.
Still,
oh my gosh.
I still, I still fight for the gigs. It's, so, but sure. Batman Scooby-Doo was probably when I really felt like this was something that was like a big moment. I mean, I had written a lot of comics. I had written a lot of cool projects, weird projects. I wrote Snickers ads that appeared in all the DC comics, which
you did those Snickers ads? Really?
I did. I didn't do the first year of them, but I did the next 2 or 3 years. However many they did. Okay. Yeah, so I like to tell people, but nobody believes me, and I'll say it everywhere I can. Dan DiDio wouldn't let me say it, that I was the best-selling writer in comics, because I had one of those pages in every comic DC published for a couple of months in a row. Who's got more? Who's in more comics people are buying?
Who got the swag? Who got the swag by Ivan, baby? Come on.
Yeah. But it's all right. It's all right. I can be humble. But yeah, Batman Scooby was probably the first one. It probably got the most news coverage, reviews, all that. And, yes, people debating it, people arguing. I mean, I've read some not so nice reviews of things I've done over the years, and it hurts up to a point, but sometimes they're right, and those are the ones that hurt the most. Like when people are just wrong, when people are just wrong, I can laugh it off. But when people are like, "This didn't make any sense in that Scooby-Doo comic," I'm like, "Yeah, they're right. That didn't make any sense." Those are hard. But
you were trying to push the story along, Conyo. That's all.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well,
you're limited. You're limited.
Sometimes it's a dream job. Sometimes it's just I gotta get. There's an artist waiting to draw something. I gotta make this. I gotta make this work.
But how much fun did you have? Again, those are 2 iconic properties you're touching at once.
Batman Scooby?
Yeah, bro.
Oh, the best. It was so much fun. The getting to write the only comic that DC was publishing where Batman smiles and isn't a jerk was amazing. Like, that was so much fun. And Scooby, I've probably written more Scooby stories than Batman stories, like separate.
Yeah.
And Scooby is sometimes a challenge because it's a lot of characters and you have to make them have a reason to be there. It can't just be Batman does all the work and and the Scooby gang are just around. But so that's challenging, but just awesome. Pure fun. I remember Batman and Scooby teaming up on TV shows I'd watch as a kid and like getting to do it. And I think as a kid, I was always aware that it was like mainly a Scooby-Doo show with like Batman showing up.
Yeah.
Getting to do it where the Batman stuff was on equal footing, sometimes more than equal because Batman's awesome. Was really, that was a really fun opportunity. I had a great time.
Before I ask the next question, I need to know who would you say is your Batman?
What do you mean?
In media, who's your Batman?
The Batman in Batman Scooby for me is a cross between. It's probably Michael Keaton and Adam West.
Okay.
But I definitely wrote Bruce when it was Bruce Wayne. I was definitely thinking the Michael Keaton first Batman movie voice in my head. But
nice.
But I definitely approached that when Grant Morrison was writing Batman. They used to say that their take was that all the Batman comics happened. They had like the black case book that had the weird stuff from the 50s and 60s in it.
I got that book. It's a pretty cool book though.
Yeah, but I sort of took the same approach, and I think most of the other writers on the book did as well in Batman Scooby. It was like, it's all fair game. Are we going to say Bane broke that Batman's back? Probably not. Yep. But in our heads, we can be thinking, oh, sure, that happened. All of those, any character that was in a Batman comic could be in that story. Like it's all one iconic Batman, and it all works.
All right. I want to talk these creative pit stops now.
Here we go. This is going to be good. I'm ready.
Because you've been a writer, an editor, and even an executive. Like, which role do you kind of enjoy the most, and which one makes you want to pull over and rethink all of your life choices?
Well, of course, I was good at all of them. I'm not going to lie.
Of course, you're a boss, boy. You're from New York, son.
star.
Everybody recognize. Shout in the building.
Writing is probably the one that was where I've had the most ability to like see a thing through kind of the way I pictured it all the way to the end. Editing, I think I'm a better editor now than I was when I first was an editor at DC. I worked on some great projects, but I think, you know, I was the editor of the first run of Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman, which was an amazing.
Oh, really? Yeah, I love that run. Oh,
good job. But there's a lot of things where I feel like I could have, I might have been, I'll never know if I would have been more successful at it, but there are things that maybe I could have fought for more effectively that I figured out later. There's like ways I could have, you know, buttons I could have pushed, you know, higher ups I could have gotten to see things my way. And I don't think I was new enough at things that maybe I didn't have the same sense of how to play the game as I do now.
Yeah, I got you. You know, they were playing. You're still playing checkers in a way. I'm learning.
As an executive, it was a good time. I worked on some media projects at DC that people liked. I worked on some that everyone hated, and that's fine. But you know, that I was sort of in the high middle of the executive range of things. So there's a lot of stuff I couldn't fix, and I think most people in like Hollywood studio type things feel that way pretty much until you're right at the top of the pyramid. I'm sure, you know, everybody at DC Films, no matter how great James Gunn is, I'm sure they're just like, you know, there are days where it's like, they're like, this is what we have to do. And they're being told, nope. At Marvel, Kevin Feige is saying no to stuff. Like, if you're not those guys, you're always going to run your head into brick walls sometimes. And it's just, you hope that the people you work with at least recognize that's happening and don't blame you for it happening. But it's all been pretty good. I don't look back on any of that stuff with complaints. You know, like there's not a lot of I wish I had done something different or, you know, had worked for someone different. I'm in a pretty good place as far as that goes.
Listen, man, you have a wonderful career. Now, let's talk about this Dynamite wild ride that you're on right now.
Wacky Race. That's why we're here, Pit Stop.
Yeah, baby. Giant-Size Wacky Races. One of those projects that makes comic fans go, wait, what? They're doing what now? So how did you get involved with this bonkers, high-octane adventure? I can't.
You're running out of puns,
folks.
You're running out of wordplay here, Al. I'm worried about you. You may peak you may overheat. But so once Dynamite, I've known the guys at Dynamite forever. I met Nick Barucci, who runs the whole place, 1,000 years ago when I was in marketing at DC. We worked on like stuff that he was publishing, like signed editions of things from Dynamic Forces that he was publishing from DC. You know, he'd be going on Home Shopping Network and showing hardcovers of Crisis on Infinite Earths like that. So I've known Nick forever. You know, terrific, dedicated guy, and it's been fun watching him because, like, even then he was like, "I want to have my own publishing company. I want to create my own projects. I want to do all this stuff." And you know, from that to the boys to all the, you know,
man.
So I had talked to him and to Joe Ryband, who's like the I forget his title. I think is executive editor at Dynamite. Like he's the main editorial guy. And we had talked for a long time about doing something. Like once I started building my brand in like licensed comics, they were doing more of that. We're just sort of looking for the right thing. They talked to me about one or two projects early on that I was just like, I could do it, but I won't. If they weren't properties that meant anything to me, and it was sort of like, if it doesn't mean something to me, you're going to be able to tell when you read it.
God. I love that. You're a real dude, son.
I don't like turning work down. Believe me,
I get it, but you want to feel right about it. I like that. Let me tell you, let me stop you there, man. I respect the shit out of that because it's true. I mean, a lot of people, hey, it's a paycheck. Nah, I respect the hell for you just said it. Because again, you know, yeah, you could get a paycheck, but it's not going to be good. That could tarnish you in a way. You know what I mean? You know, oh man, he's not as effective. Especially when you love something though, and you can put that love behind it, and people see like, yo, shit, this story's crazy. Why? Because you actually know the mythos. You love the mythos, so let's work on those mythos. And
thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I've done some stuff that wasn't my,
Hey, you gotta do what you got. Hey, we
I
New
wrote
Yorkers, man. Hustle,
the
man.
man who wrote the Space Jam, New Legacy graphic novel movie adaptation, and I'm not going to pretend that was, my whole life I had dreamed of bringing LeBron James to, graphic novel pages.
Are you sure? You sure?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure about that. But that paycheck was nice. Sorry, but
that's my. See, this is why I love my people from New York.
No, but also it's like, I might be able to fool you. I might be able to write a property I don't care about well enough to convince you that I loved it. But if it's not, but if I have to work that hard on it, I'm going to resent it. I'm going to resent having done it. I'm going to be like, there's got to be an easier way to make a page rate than that. But I'm also super lucky that I'm in a position where I can ever refuse work. There's plenty of people newer in the game who are never going to, they shouldn't be saying no because they understand there may not be, if they're trying to make their bones and somebody's offering them a property that anyone's heard of, they're going to do it. It's just, as soon as you can stop doing those kind of jobs, I recommend you stop doing those kind of jobs because you'll get better at what you're doing if you feel like you're inspired, if you feel like you have something to live up to. So this was a very long answer to get to. Dynamite started doing the Hanna-Barbera properties. They started announcing a few things. I reached out to Joe and said, let me know, like it had just been announced. And I was like, I know you've probably got a couple of things already cooking, but let me know when there's something I can audition for. Because, I've been doing Scooby-Doo comics and, Looney Tunes comics. Like I've done all these Warner Brothers properties. Like I speak licensed character.
You speak tune.
And he's like,
let's call it Tunanese.
What I love about Joe, I like Joe a lot, was he sent me a very quick note back saying, yeah, we're really just getting started. We've just got one or two things figured out, but I will definitely let you know. And I'd say within like 5 minutes, he then sent me a note saying, hey, send me what you can think of for Wacky Races. And I was like, oh, that was a quick journey. So I came, I thought about it. It was not like, Wacky Races was not on any bucket list I've got for characters I wanted to write. Like I remember the show. Yeah, not there. But it was really kind of an opportunity to do something different. I had seen DC had done a thing called Wacky Raceland a bunch of years ago, which was very much like
that was really cool.
But it was very much like post-apocalyptic.
Yeah,
craziness.
That's why I say it's cool. I love that shit.
No, me too. That wasn't a thing I wanted to do. And if they were,
it wasn't Wacky
that, I wouldn't. It wouldn't have been that fun for me. So I was happy that they wanted to go. They didn't give me much direction other than see what you got, and I gave them some choices, and it was a pretty easy journey from there to the comic that's coming out. Holy cow. Couple weeks, but
right there, April 9th, folks. April 9th, right there. Mm-hmm. There's one to go on screen. There we go. Now, let me ask you, because again, it's speaking about revving up nostalgia. Yeah, I still got puns, bro. Don't you worry. Bringing Wacky Races to comic means that you're balancing some classic nostalgia with fresh storytelling, because you're a mover and shaker. That's what you do. You want to shake it up, baby. So how do you keep the original charm while also injecting new twists and turns?
Well, we'll see if I did. That's the
I'm sure you did.
that's really the $1 million question, my friend. The challenge is really, I felt like there were a few sort of key elements of the original. I think the thing that worked to my advantage was, even though if you're a certain age, there are shows that you've watched all of and you don't even know how it happened. Like if it was for the streaming age, you're just sort of like, yeah, I've seen all of them. Did I love them? I don't remember loving it, but I watched every single one of them. For a certain generation, it's like, I've seen every Gilligan's Island episode. Did I like any of them?
I said every I Love Lucy, Twilight Zone, Three's Company, Sanford and Son, Jeffersons, you name it.
Right. All that stuff when you didn't have as much control over what to watch. So I absorbed all that stuff. I don't think there are many Hanna-Barbera cartoons I didn't watch all of.
Absolutely.
But not being a Wacky Races super fan, and this
wait. Before you say Saturday mornings, I've never asked this question. I gotta ask this more often. But when you were sitting there on Saturday morning, what was your breakfast cereal of choice?
Oh man, I think I was a Cheerios guy. I don't think my parents were letting me have the Cocoa Puffs. That was
No, yeah,
Cocoa Puffs would have
Cheerios.
been. Cocoa Puffs would have been.
Did they have honey at least? Was it honey nut Cheerios or just straight up Cheerios?
No, but I have a 12-year-old now, so Honey Nut Cheerios is in our house a lot more than
Okay.
it should be for a man my age. But no, that's good. These are important questions. You're really getting into it.
Yeah, bro, it's fandom, bro.
So not being a Wacky Races super fan, merely being an appreciator, being an appreciator, being a fan, but not a super fan, let me really think about the whole world of the Wacky Races and just sort of think like, what are the key big things? I don't need every single racer who was ever in the show to be in this 40-page comic. Like 40 pages, like that's 40 pages. I know, it's pretty exciting. So it's not. So I'm able to sort of hopefully deliver on the characters that people feel most strongly about seeing in there. You may have a favorite that doesn't show up in this one. I'm hoping we get to do more of them, and more of the old favorites will get their chance to shine. But
I think you will.
Part of what makes that work, though, I think if it was somebody who was like an insanely devoted fan, there just wouldn't be any room for a story. It would just be, here's all the characters you remember from the show, super fans, and they're all going to get to the finish line, and one of the 5 characters you liked most is going to win, and then the comic's over, and you're like, why do I ever need to buy another one? Like, this gave us
other races, more gangster shit. I mean, look at this guy in the back with that ultimate pen pad, and look at this beautiful cover, man. What?
Yeah, Linsner did a nice job. These are good.
Okay.
Galman, I like that cover a lot.
Yeah, this is gorgeous. And
man, yeah. I'm an old school, DC Comics guy, so go checks and like a Silver Age style vibe to it makes me so happy.
Man, you see Motley there, it was the most notorious laugh in the history. You know what I mean? This is the whole thing I want to show you. Look how beautiful this book is. So talk about that collaboration. Working with your partners here. How was this collaboration like? Were they big fans as well?
I think they're bigger fans than I am. That's the thing that's crazy. I was talking to these guys. I was talking to Mariano Benitez Chapo, who's the artist, and Nick Capone's the colorist. And I was talking to Mariano, who I've still never met, but we were talking about the project from the start. And he was like, I'm a huge fan. I'm also a racing fan. So he had ideas for there's a new character we introduced who he sort of styled on like some European writer from the driver from the 70s. And I'm just like, this is great. I want more of that. I
did that. So wait, so you're bringing new stuff into Hanna-Barbera?
Oh yeah. I mean, this would not have been fun. This would not have been fun for me if we couldn't introduce new characters. Because also, part of the idea of this is we're trying to create a world where the Wacky Races are part of it, and it's a world that's sort of like ours. Like it's sort of a little bit like the world you and I live in right now.
Yeah.
So in that world, why would there be these cars? Why would they have these themes to them? All of that. So I leaned into this idea that the cars all have sponsors. So it's like NASCAR. It's like NASCAR crossed with wrestling. So
okay.
So the drivers are personalities. They're not necessarily, Dick Dastardly might actually
driving entertainment.
Like Dick Dastardly might actually be a jerk, but that might not really.
With a name like Dick Dastardly, what did you think he is?
Look, were you ever an Encyclopedia Brown kid?
Oh my God! Yeah. I remember it. Yes.
The thing that always struck me, I mean, it didn't strike me when I was 10, but it struck me when I got a little older, that I was like, the bad guy character being named Bugs Meany. I was like, that kid never had a chance.
Yeah. Right.
What kid? That kid wasn't going to grow up to be a cool guy. He was going to be a jerk. Sinestro in the Green Lantern comics. It's like, I wonder if he's going to be a bad guy. Yeah,
right. You named me Sinestro. I am not going to be a nice
Dr.
person.
Doom. Come on. But so we tried to create. So with that in mind, that sort of helped us figure out who all these characters were. And for some of it, I wanted to introduce new characters who would reflect, like, if there were going to be sponsors, who sponsors cars in racing, who sponsors, athletes at the Olympics, like who's, so we've got cars that are based sort of on the Apple Store or science fiction. Like, I feel like in this world, there'd be a big action movie franchise coming out, and they would sponsor a car so that you'd be watching the show, you'd be watching the race, and it'd be like, oh, there's the car from the new movie that's coming out. Like, so there's all that kind of stuff. So we introduced some new characters that hopefully, feed into that.
So, let's get into what I want to call the creative tune-up. Hey, see, I'm telling you, I'm not going to stop, bro.
You have a list, or are you doing this?
Yeah, listen, bro, I prepped for you, man. Let me tell you, I want to have some fun with this. So, what's your process like when you're tackling a story like this? Do you like kind of binge old episodes? Did you sketch out blueprints, or do you just let the chaos flow out of that brain of yours?
That's a really good question. This was a little different from usual because it's got so many pages to it. Like, I've done enough 20-page comics that I sort of, my fans hopefully think I'm right, and my critics will say you gotta learn more. But I sort of have that pacing. I have that pacing pretty well figured out for 20 pages. 40 pages was a little different. So for that one, I sort of mapped it out a little bit as far as like sort of a page by page breakdown of just sort of the real top line beats of like, what do I want to have happen on page 1, page 2, all the way through the end. And just thinking about things like, we want, a big double page spread of this race. And I wanted to end with the character at the end doing this. I mean, you've got some of those pages up on screen right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, beautiful pages, lettering, coloring, everything. I mean, the artistry. And again, it's like, I see Hanna-Barbera, then I see this. I'm like, yo, what a fucking difference. Holy shit. Like, whoa.
We really wanted to feel like a grown-up comic, even though Mariano also looked at some very cool comics of recent years where it was like Batman and Elmer Fudd, where it's like Elmer Fudd still looks like a cartoon character, but he's in the comic book universe, and it doesn't feel like you're looking at somebody trying to do a Roger Rabbit knockoff. Like, it's not super realistic next to super cartoony. It's sort of finding some middle space. And I think it works. I mean, I was really...
You think it works? I mean, folks, look at these pages.
No one's going to know for sure till they buy it.
Look at the design. Look how dope she looks.
9th? I think that's
right there, folks. Right there. April 9th. Right there. Giant-Size Wacky Races from Dynamite Entertainment, baby.
Yeah, the Dynamite guys... The folks did a great thing with that too, which surprised the hell out of me, which is it costs the same as a regular Dynamite comic.
Yeah, bro.
Like twice as much story and art, same price.
Because Dynamite is popping,
They're trying to figure out cool ways to do new stuff. I'm really grateful to get the chance to be part of this because, would I have liked a 6-issue miniseries?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Well, we're gonna get that.
I like having being able to introduce this world and all these characters and have it really build to one big ending, as opposed to having to like keep on teasing people every 20 pages to get them to buy the next one. I feel like that. I think that works for a lot of comics. It wouldn't, maybe not with this one, but I am very optimistic that the people who check this out, when they get to page 40, they're going to be like, that was a very satisfying ride. But I want another one. I want more. I want to see what happens to my girl Penelope, because she's amazing. And
I see.
Yeah.
So let me ask here.
Yes.
Let's talk about some dream crossover chaos. Now, if you could merge Wacky Races with any other comic or cartoon universe, what would be the wildest, most unpredictable combo? I mean, Fast and Furious, Mad Max, Gotham Cities, Batmobiles.
That's not unpredictable. That's, of course. I mean, yes, the Batmobile versus Wacky Races, 100%. The Flash doesn't even need a car, all that. But give me Green Lantern Wacky Races. Let me see Wacky Races X-Men. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
What kind of car does Professor X drive? You want to know?
See, man, you're making me Well, he could control it telepathically, true, right? Because
No,
again,
you gotta play by the rules. Actually, Fantastic Four Wacky Races would be a breeze. That would be great.
oh, the Fantastic Car versus one of these ones would be a dope race, bro.
Fantastic Car versus the Pink Pussycat. Let's go.
Well, I mean, and look at these designs. How much did you have any input? How the artist was developing? I mean, what was this online? Did you guys get to meet at any point in time?
Like, we have still not met. We worked online, and we talked a little bit online about designs and stuff. I mean, it was always the most design opportunity was for the new characters because we want, you want Penelope Pitstop to look like Penelope Pitstop. It doesn't.
Yeah, of course.
There's that balance. You want to deliver for the fans who know this stuff. You don't want them to be looking at it and be like, oh, you just changed it for the sake of changing it. Like, that's not the business we want to be in. But we have come up with new things. It's nuts. I will say I was expecting more pushback than I got from some of the stuff we wanted to do. It's an explosion. It's an explosion of weird. It's really, and there's races. There's good racing. You'll be surprised by who wins at different points.
Maybe you're gonna inspire a video game of this now. Wouldn't that be cool?
Sure. I want more wacky races.
The Cohen verse is gonna hit gaming, comics, everything. But you're gonna be the new king of multimedia. What's popping, bro?
Awesome. I could use that.
Man. Let's go. Now, let me ask you about the industry drag race, if you will. Yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta keep them coming, bro.
Yeah.
You've been in the comic game for a while. So what's the biggest shift, if you will, that you've seen in how stories are made and maybe consumed? And where do you think we're racing towards next?
Oh, man. The puns are really slowing me down. I'm fascinated. I'm really fascinated by the crowdfunding stuff. I really think that it's an interesting and the crowdfunding stuff, all the problems at Diamond and all the distributor fights.
Oh yeah, man. Really, that's crazy shit with
Diamond. I don't understand how it all plays out. But the thing that's interesting about crowdfunding, as I understand it, is that it's hard in a lot of cases to get retailers behind the project if it's already been crowdfunded. Because on the one hand, they know that there's an audience because the audience has already invested in it. But on the other hand, if that audience is small, everybody in that audience already invested in it. So there's no point in picking up a book.
And putting on
I feel for retailers. I don't know how it was always a hard job, and I think it just gets harder all the time with multiple distributors and Diamond.
Oh, yeah, see, that's what makes it worse. Like, while I understand and appreciate the fact there's no longer a monopoly, I don't want to see anything ever fail, though. Diamond did their job, but, they were shady. They consumed too much. They like what they did, what WWE has done to wrestling. And so now there's going to be some competition, and I get a lot of announcements of how so many new distributors are out there. But now, how can we make it easy for the shops then to be able to purchase from you? Because again, we need to make multiple accounts. We need to have maybe one platform that can connect all the accounts, make it a one-stop shopping platform for a retailer. Like, okay, I'm ordering this. If it comes wherever it comes from, great. But one platform that's going to be non-biased. Hey, we just take the orders, and whatever little charge they got to do for that organization. It is what it is,
Right. No, I think the challenge is, it's like when people say, I'm gonna make a weird U-turn here. Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
When people talk about, like, why can't the post office be more efficient? Why can't the post office compete more with, like, FedEx? And there's there's a lot of political reasons behind a lot of that stuff. But one of the basic things is the post office by law has to be able to deliver mail everywhere in the US. So, like, the tiniest town, like the places that FedEx won't take your package to. Like, so in order to have that kind of infrastructure stuff, what Diamond did that none of these other guys are going to do is, Diamond was an operation where they would distribute super tiny publishers and put them in that giant, thick previews magazine, and you could get a comic from a company that sold very few comics and get it into your store. And that was a huge gift for creators, like a huge gift for creators who were just starting out trying to get their thing moving.
But there was a huge cut and sacrifice for that.
Right.
appreciation.
And Diamond lent money to retailers. I mean, like they helped stores out. Like they would advance them credit for, like, you're starting a shop, you don't have money up front yet. We'll give you, comics from the top 400, on credit, so that when you open your door, you can sell someone a copy of Batman or a copy of X-Men. Like that's a big deal. Like that's a real dedication to wanting the industry to
flourish and move on.
And if you can't do that, so I think that's a huge challenge. I think the other thing is you went through a long period of time where you had creators, like, it was sort of shameful's not fair, but it was very obvious sometimes you'd have people doing, like, I'm going to get my 6-issue run of Batman so that I can sell my creator-owned project. And, like, so you get this churn where, like, people are using DC and Marvel to, like, get an audience and then immediately
as a stepping stone.
And I think that's had a really negative effect on mainstream comics a little bit, because you have people sort of making a pit stop. Just doing that thing.
I've seen the conversations online recently, and there's some artists out there that was extremely upset with Marvel's pay structure. Again, I don't want to start no shit. I'm not going to mention no names, but you guys may know who I'm talking about.
I do.
He was talking a lot, and but he's being honest about his experience, and it's not fair. Again, you are a creator. You deserve to be paid fairly for your contributions. And you fucking around, that ain't right. That is not right.
The counter argument to that, and I'm very fond of that guy, and I can't argue with his experience, because being an artist is also very different from being a writer. Like,
it's definitely two different lanes.
Any script I've written, I've never seen a script I've written show up on a T-shirt. So so I don't feel like I'm not looking at that and saying,
how would you feel though if somebody walked around with a couple of your words on their chest, and you didn't have permission?
I mean, especially when it's stuff, work for hire, and especially like the kids comics type stuff I've done so much of.
Yeah.
The contract is in a lot of ways lousy, but it's very specific. Like, there's no surprises. Like, I'm not, I make the choice to do the work. If I don't, in those cases,
it's on you.
The places where it's really hard, the places where it's really been challenging for people is when they create. Part of the job of writing, I'll keep going to Batman as an example. Part of the job of writing Batman is you're supposed to use the old familiar characters, but you're supposed to introduce new stuff. And the challenge is, so you introduce new stuff as part of that job to get that page rate, to get that opportunity for royalties on collections and all that. When that character shows up on the Penguin TV show, what are you supposed to get for that? Like, it's not in the voucher you signed. The voucher you signed said everything in here belongs to, DC Comics. So how upset, so you want to be dealt with fairly, Ed Brubaker, I think, or others don't necessarily think that having their name in the credits at the end of a Marvel project saying special thanks to is significant enough for the work that they do. And the other part of that is, right, but if you weren't going to write those comics, nobody would have seen that work you created. You can create all the characters you want in a comic no one buys. And you got all the rights. You got all the rights to it. I mean, I co-created a character in a DC holiday special that ended up on the series finale of The Flash. They had one line of dialogue. They didn't appear in costume, and I was very flattered that my name was in the credits at the end, and I got a small amount of money from Warner Brothers later as sort of a little thanks for playing. But I'm, would I have liked that check to be bigger? Of course I would have. But on the other hand, I added to the DC universe. I get to talk about that on podcasts like this one. I get to use that to get future jobs. So that's a compromise. So far, I'm comfortable with. On the other hand, in the best version of this, the late Len Wein used to talk about how he probably got more money from creating, or co-creating with the artist Lucius Fox in the Batman universe and having it show up in the Christopher Nolan movies than he got for creating Wolverine. right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's funny.
like that's serious, and I think he was not talking about a small amount of money, and more power to him. That's how it should
Yeah,
be.
you know what? Because that was one of my earlier questions. Again, I changed the question because I was going to say you're a very versatile creator. Because again, being a writer, editor, and executive, that's like being Batman, Alfred, and Lucius all in one.
Yeah, I don't have as many scars as Batman. Don't have the stock portfolio of either of the other guys. Yeah, but all right, that's
but you get it. You know what I'm saying?
I get it.
You wear so many different mantles, and which is fire. So let's talk about this final lap right here, bro.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my final lap?
No.
What have you heard?
Of the show, baby. The show, the episode, baby. Now, if your career was a Wacky Races episode, what would the title be, and how would you write the perfect over-the-top ending for it?
Oh my God! Wow! Oh no!
I'm gonna put you on
This
the
is
spot.
terrible. First of all, I don't remember how they titled the episode, so I got. If it were a Friends episode, it would be the one with the guy just trying to make a living. But
I'm just trying to win one race, man.
Pedal to the metal. The Ivan Cohen story.
Hey, you come last all your life.
And I have no idea what the ending's going to be. Thankfully, I'm just
but you
trying to keep level up, trying to get better at this every time.
You ain't trying. You're doing because you got
some always stuff. And
people. No, man, you're doing it because this book is coming out tonight. It's already done. So you done did it, baby.
This book I got. You're right. This book
you done did it.
This book is locked in. It's in the showroom, ready for people to check it out.
I love it, Jackie. Giant-Size Wacky Races. Number one. Say, Jackie, Jesus. Giant-Size Wacky Races number one will be in shops April 9th, 2025, folks. You got to really check out this book, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. I promise you on this. Now, let's talk this before we go again. And just two more questions, all right? Advice for aspiring speedsters, if you will. I'm sorry, that's the last one, I promise. A lot of young writers writers are at the starting line, revving their engines, right? Trying to break into comics. What's the best advice for them making it across that finish line?
Get good at writing. Practice. Find an artist if you can who can help you figure out how to write a script for comics. But I think, it's been a long time since I broke in, and the rules are always changing. I think the most important thing, if you're trying to get a job working for somebody else, where somebody pays you to write their stuff, which is different from writing your own things, and I can talk about that for a second. Try to find a way to get paid to write things. It'll make you better at it, because you feel a lot different pressure if somebody's counting on you and is going to give you money and you want them to give you money a second time. But also, I used to compare a little bit to dating. There used to be the cliche that nothing made you more attractive to potential dates than someone else was dating you. Like, you're way more interesting. Like, you seem like nobody wants to be the first. Everybody wants to discover the next big talent. If you're an editor, nobody wants to be the first person to hire you. They somehow have that simultaneously in their hearts. So they want to know that you can be counted on to deliver, that if they put their neck out and tell their boss, I'm hiring this guy, his name's Al, he's terrific, but nobody's ever hired him before to do anything. If they let that editor hire you, you have to deliver. You have to deliver on time or early, and it has to be amazing.
Well, I'll make it.
They're going to have to sacrifice, and that editor is going to have to put so much of their personal cred on the line, right, to get them to hire someone they've never heard of. Part of the reason the same couple of people write all the things is because editors know they don't have to. There's no gamble. There's no
shenanigans. They know what the work ethic is, and it's done.
The editor who's given me most of my comics work at DC goes to me. I'm his first call for a lot of things, which is incredibly flattering. And part of that is because he knows he doesn't have to worry that if I say I can do a thing by a certain date, I'll do it by that date and the work will be good. And that's And if you don't, when you're starting out, you don't have that. So you need to find as quick as possible, even if it's not in comics, even if it's, I don't know what anybody pays people to write anymore, but like, and if you can't get paid to write things, which now it's harder to get paid to write things now than ever, then produce a podcast that has new episodes every week, show that you can make a commitment to something and keep delivering time and time again. Because
and talk about writing, talk about artistry, whatever your lane is.
Absolutely. But just doing a thing that shows that you're not going to agree to do a thing and then disappear for 3 months. Like, I can look at when you've been posting your podcast and I can say, this guy works. This guy shows up. Maybe he's banking episodes early so he can go on vacation. The point is, I don't know. All I see
go
is
live. I ain't banking shit. I go live. I work hard, baby.
All right. But you get my point. I mean, that's the whole game. He's like,
look at you. You're number 549 on my lane. Number 549.
I know. I'm a little disappointed that it's not like a, special collector's item issue, 550, but
no, but people will ask, wow, 550? Who's the one before?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
It does.
Walt Simonson started on Thor with 337. I can be on an off number. It's fine. It's all good.
Don't you worry, man. Because again, you are legendary, and I can't wait till people maybe have an opportunity to meet you. So is that in the lane this year? You done any convention appearances? You driving down anywhere? I'm sorry, I had to throw one more.
There's a show called Fanfare, which is FANFAIRE in New York. Unfortunately, it's the weekend before Wacky Races comes out, which makes me very sad. But it's in an arts high school here in New York. It's this amazing show that like Jamal Igle, who's one of my favorite.
I know Jamal, really.
Put together, yeah. I think his kid.
Can you please send me some info on that? I would love to post about it. I might be in New York that weekend. I might be able to check it out.
I'd find you, but I'll be there. I'll be at New York Comic Con. I don't know if I'm tabling it or not. That shows.
I'll be there. You'll hear a lot of Puerto Ricans saying "wep" all over the place. Don't you worry. That's me.
I'll find you. We'll get
you hear me.
That's all I'm certain of right now. It's but I want to do more. I like cons a lot. I've been going to them since I was a little kid.
Excellent.
It's the best.
All right. One more question. Because you're talking about going to cons as a kid.
Where am I going?
What was maybe your craziest or most fondest memory at a Comic-Con?
Oh, there's so many to pick from. Back in the day, it was a very strange week. It was like San Diego Comic-Con, which I went to before it became too big to handle. Okay. I took like 3 years off.
It was Comic-Con.
Yeah, and then I took like 3 years off from it, and I came back to it, and it had gotten huge, and I was like, clearly, I was the thing holding it back. Like it was right, It was, but one year I went, and it was like I was segueing out of marketing into editorial. Like I was sort of doing both jobs. That I'd finished the marketing job. I only just started in editorial. I was working for Mike Carlin, who was running DC editorial at the time. We were doing the Just Imagine Stan Lee DC Universe project, which, there were reasons it happened. There were reasons the books came out the way they did. But so first of all, I got to pick up Stan at the airport. And this was before he had been in all the Marvel movies. So like you could be in an airport holding up a sign that said Stan Lee on it and nobody cared.
Nobody cared. Who the fuck is Stan Lee or whatever?
So I met Stan. It was great. It was the same meeting a million people have had with Stan over the years, where like he was enthusiastic and welcoming, and you kind of knew that the next time you met him, he might not remember that he had met you. That's so not a concern in the world. Much like signing a bad work for hire contract. If going in, you can't get disappointed. Like but this was great. So I get Stan checked into his hotel, and then I'm walking him over to the convention center for the Just Imagine panel where they were going to announce like John Cassaday and other amazing people. Cool. It was this Jim Lee was on it, but like it was heavy hitters. So I'm walking with him that short distance from his hotel to the convention center. And it was the kind of thing where like, if you turned away for 2 seconds, suddenly he was surrounded by 40 fans who all had different weird things for him to sign. It was crazy. There was a guy with a bullpen bulletins page like pasted up on artboard, and Stan was like, I don't think I've ever signed one of these. And
Really?
And it was amazing. And he was kind and courteous to everybody. I had to be the bad guy a little bit, just being like, sorry, we've got to get into the convention.
Yeah, you got work to do.
But that was, I mean, I got to meet a lot of amazing people and have gotten to be friendly with a lot of amazing comics pros.
I didn't get to meet Stan. I'm looking forward to this documentary to see what was popping, although I didn't kind of like how it was made because this is a new documentary.
Oh, the Stan one, yeah.
You have this guy.
I prefer to remember him the way he was. Yeah. I treasure when I was working on those books. I told Mike Carlin, I was like, I really would love to have a Stan Lee Marvel nickname at some point. And this was in the day of fax machines, so I have a fax piece of paper from Stan. It's in a scrapbook where he wrote, thanks for everything, Invincible Ivan Cohen.
Oh, you're the OG Invincible.
I never.
Robert Kirkman, you took his name. How dare you? This is the OG Invincible Ivan Cohen, baby.
Yeah, that was my mic drop. I should have left then, but then I wouldn't have done Wacky Races and we wouldn't be talking. So, all right.
Yeah, I made the right choice. Invincible Ivan Cohen, baby. Folks, you heard it, man. He's the Invincible one. You want to know what he's done? Just look it up. He's a boss, he's a legend, working with amazing publishers, but this is the one we're talking about. Check out what he's dropping through Dynamite. Giant-Size Wacky Races in shops, April 9th, 2025, baby. So, it's coming soon. So go to your LCS right now. Put this on your pull. This is a one shot right
baby.
Now.
I want to do more.
40 pages. Yeah. If you want to know what's going on in the Ivan verse, the Cohen verse, baby, go right here to Ivan Cohen, Ivan M, the letter M Cohen .com. Check out what's popping there, and stay tuned on the socials, man. Check it out on Blue Skies, Ivan Cohen. BSK.
Ivan M Cohen.
And Instagram, Ivan M Cohen. Everywhere he got that name locked down. Everywhere he a big pimp. But this is going to be a fantastic book, folks. It's going to be fun, especially for us folks from a certain era. If you're nostalgic, definitely peep this and then show your kids. That make them fans. Then Ivan could then, make a whole 6-run story that's going to be brutal and maybe characters die. Who knows?
Guaranteed.
Oh, he's a guarantee. Let's make it happen.
There are at least 2 serious car crashes in this comic.
Mike tease what he is teasing, folks. This is coming out April 9th, and he is teasing us already. There's going to be some insane chaos in this fantastic book. Dynamite Entertainment bringing that boom, baby. There we go. I love it. So, Ivan, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you that were tuning in, staying quiet in the background. I see y'all lurking. I would appreciate if you guys just chime in, even say hello. We have an amazing creator like Ivan here. Show some love. But if you're not showing it here at the very least, again, follow him on the social. All the notes are in the show notes below. The links to everything, dates, and again, go to your LCS today and put, Wacky Races right now on that pull list. You heard? This is Almega. It's Ivan Cohen, baby. Let's go, Comic Crusaders. Hasta la próxima, baby. Later. Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders Podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.com and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.